Hello one and hello all. Hello clouds in the sky, hello dirt in the ground, and hello Michael. To Streets Noir! Today we'll be talking about how the death of multiple people will cause you to do crazy things. For those who are new here, welcome. These streets may seem dingy and dark, but we're all here together somehow, so that's pretty cool, right? For the people who are already part of this gang, I love you. My heart burns for you. Mostly because I have acid reflux, but it is also because I love you, and I know how to show love because I'm saying that I do. Today we'll be talking about a movie that I found on a random Netflix movie generator that I haven't seen and didn't seem to be very popular. So strap in. The movie that we'll be talking about today is called Shepherds and Butchers, which was made in 2016. Shepherds and Butchers was directed by Oliver Schmitz, who made movies such as Life Above All, La Peninsula, and Paris Je t'aime. The stars of this movie were Steve Coogan as John Weber, Robert Hobbs as Pierre Devers, and Garion Dowds, who played Leon Labouchaine. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. They say it a lot of times in the movie. The movie follows a lawyer in 1987 South Africa who's trying to figure out why a man who formerly worked out of prison is killed by a group of individuals in a car unprompted. This is basically the entire plot of the movie. It's kind of it. You could use this in Balderdash if you wanted to. For those who are too young, Balderdash is a board game. Also, on a side note, this movie was based on real events, so for all you history buffs out there, it's time to start taking notes, because now you can bring this up in random conversation, and, you know, people are going to think you're so cool because you're so much smarter than everybody. Time to make everybody feel bad about themselves for not knowing as much as you do. But it's okay. It's okay, dude. We get it. You're better than us, so... Dude, it's fine. It's fine. Dude, come on. Don't dislike the video. Come back! We later understand that the lawyer is against the death penalty and is basically trying his best to be this man's defendant so he doesn't get hung for it, and not hung in the good way. Hung in the very bad way. As in dead. As in dead as heck. Freaking dead, dude. Everyone believes that this man is just crazy and he should get put to death for what he did to those men, but the defendant believes that there is more to the story than just that. Though he grieves the death of the men the people killed, the lawyers believe that the killer may be somewhat not in his right mind. Now, thoughts before we get into the spoilers of the movie. This movie was pretty interesting. You know, it was one of those very interesting movies that you watch and you're like, wow, I feel like smarter for watching this, but I didn't particularly really enjoy it, but I feel smarter. So, yeah. I feel like this is a movie that my mom would like, because it's very smart, and my mom is very smart. Hi, Mom, if you're watching. Pretty interesting movie, but for me personally, not like the most enjoyable, but it was very interesting. But before we get into that ever-craving pit of spoilers, make sure to high-five the like button's hand until its fingers fall off. Pepper spray the subscribe button, because they're just kind of annoying, and you don't really want them around, but you gotta deal with them somehow. And give the bell an open mouth kiss. If it's consensual. If it's not consensual, don't do that. Why would you do that? Why would you force yourself into the notification bell, you pervert? This guy. Right? Lapras? Also, just a heads up for people who do have triggers, this movie does have gruesome hanging scenes if you are triggered by, you know, whether it just be like killing or suicide, though it's not suicide, they're still getting hung, and I don't know if that'll trigger anything. It goes pretty into how gross hanging can be too, because like all their fluids leave their body, like they piss and shit on the floor and there's blood everywhere, and it's kind of gross. So if that is something that would trigger you, then maybe don't watch this movie. But yeah, just a heads up before we get into it. Alright, into the spoilers we go. Here we go. I'm diving in. When we get into this movie, the beginning scenes of the movie are very strange. I thought I was watching like a very cheaply made movie because the scenes were cut up into like blocks and it had like a bunch of black space in between it. So it felt like the scenes weren't like put together to where they like flowed perfectly. It was like block, empty space, another block. I was like, this is very, I'm getting into a very B movie, aren't I? Because I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't watch anything about this movie beforehand. And it actually makes sense why they do that later on into the movie. So if you stick around, let's find out. Yeah, the beginning scenes are very blocky. And it's just showing when Leon shoots the group of individuals in the car. It's raining outside, and he shoots them. Bang, 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 bang. Because there's like 7 of them. Did I do that right? Bang, 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 bang. Yeah. After that, Weber and his assistant go to the crime scene. And they're like talking. Crime stinks, and like killing people is rough, right? This is baloney killing people. And the assistant's like, uh-huh. Later they go to Leon, and he just won't talk. He's just all shook up from what happened. He's like, I'm not telling you anything. Lawyer's like, well, if you don't, you're gonna die. And guess what? Your kid is gonna watch too. And your wife is gonna watch. And guess what? They're not even gonna regret it. Because you suck. That doesn't happen. That would be a bad lawyer. Throughout this movie, a lot of the scenes are kind of boring. It's just a lot of the lawyer trying to get information out of Leon and the lawyer getting information from other sources. Just a lot of filler before we really get into it. It's like the first 30 minutes of the movie were just really kind of boring. So I won't even be talking about it because that's just all that happens. He's just getting information. And that's it. Once we get into the better part of the movie, we do figure out that Leon was put on prison duty at the age of 17 because it was either that or the army. So he did that to avoid going to the army. What he didn't know is that he would be put on gallows duty at the age of 17, which means that he would have to hang people. And he did that on his first day. Don't say you had a worse first day at a job if you didn't have to kill 7 people. So he did that at the age of 17 up until the age of 19, killing 164 people. Not killing them, just taking them to the gallows and stuff. Doing that to 164 people, seeing them die like that will rack your brain. Later on, Weber talks to Pierre, who is his brother-in-law, who also has connections in the prison. And we later find out through these connections that Leon would communicate with the prisoners, bring them food, read them the Bible, talk to them. Later would have to kill them. So he would be their friend and then also still have to kill them. There's another point where Leon has to take a prisoner to the gallows even though he had been basically pardoned. So he was like let go from prison, he was able to go home, but then was still told to take him to the gallows anyway and not tell him that he was being let go. So that's kind of like, this happened in real life too. That's freaking alright, man. And then it's just a lot of filler information time where Weber finding more information and cross-examinations happening. A bunch of not like the most interesting stuff happen. Or no, it is interesting, it's not really super like enjoyable, I guess I would say. So on Leon's last day at the prison, he was gonna hang people, as he does per usual. The people there did not cooperate. They tried to break loose from the officers, and when they finally got him to the gallows and pulled the lever and they dropped down and they hung, one of the guys did not die immediately. So Leon and like a couple other guys had to pull the rope back up a little bit and then drop it again to try to break his neck, and they had to do that twice because he would not die because he had a thick neck or something. After that, Leon was told to bring the prisoners to a graveyard. On the way, the driver and Leon kind of got into a crash. The driver ran away because they were scared of the bodies in the back. Leon then drove the car to the graveyard and buried the bodies, and on that day was the same day that he killed the men. Now the question is, why did he do it? Why did you kill them? What did they do to you for you to randomly kill them? Later, we do find out that through a process of pure luck, that Leon's trigger for him shooting and killing the men was the door slamming shut and him getting triggered that it was like the hanging latch dropping. It was nearly the same sound. And then another trigger for him following the bus was the men banging on the side of the car because they were like in a football team, and they were just like chanting or something, but it sounded like the men from before who were in the prison who weren't acting right, trying to break out. That was another trigger. It was that, and then the car door slamming, which made him shoot the people, and not particularly remember even doing that. So what I brought up before with the blocky editing was I feel like was a director's choice to make it seem like Leon was only remembering portions of what happened during those times where he shot the people. So him in the car, block cut, him outside of the car, block cut, him shooting the people, and him not knowing really why he did that or even remembering that he did do that. So after all this information has been presented, Leon is not killed, at least. He's just sentenced to about 20 years in prison. So yeah, that's kind of it. It's just the one big lawyer detective case. Not the most enjoyable, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I should be watching that at like school. But yeah, based on true events, and then like 8 years later after that event, the death penalty had been abolished in South Africa when Nelson Mandela became president. So again, it's interesting. It is very interesting to know, but not the most sit down, get a bowl of popcorn and a drink and watch this movie. You know, it's more of like a pack your backpack, you're going to school, and this is the movie that you're going to watch. Alright, you're back. You didn't see the spoilers, I guess, so you're back to the post-spoilers. Steve Coogan, who played John Weber, did a pretty good job of being the silent lawyer type. Like, he had moments during the trial where he was pretty emotional. I don't know, it was just the boring lawyer trying to get his work done, putting in the work to do his job, but I don't know. He was alright. Gary and Dowds, who played Leon, did a pretty good job of playing the role of somebody with the weight of all that death on his mind and finally being convicted, the thing that he did because of his emotional trigger or breakdown. He did a pretty good job during the cross-examinations of like just slowly breaking, crying and screaming and all that. He did a decent job. Yeah, he was probably the better part of the movie. And Robert Hobbs, who played Pierre, did a pretty decent job of just playing the guy who's been in a war and he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm being told that I have to, and I'm doing this for the country because I love my country, and he's still getting PTSD. He was a character. The music in the movie was okay. It didn't really push the emotion in the scene. It more of just set the scene. So it was like, this was good background music to have during this moment, but it didn't make me feel a certain way as the scene was trying to. What did do it for me though is the coloring and the lighting that they did in the movie. They did a pretty good job of making the gallows very grim and black looking. Even the outside during Leon's point of view, very gray and just dull. Very interesting with the color palette and the lighting, but the music was not carrying. Some of the characters are really not carrying, but the settings with the lighting and the color were pretty good. It feels weird to rate a movie like this because I didn't particularly enjoy it, but I found it interesting. So I'm like, do I rate it because of how interesting it is, or do I rate it because of how much I enjoyed it? And then sort of falling back on how much I enjoyed it. And it also got me thinking of how I rate movies a little too high sometimes, because I'm just trying to give them credit. Like, for my sake, I feel like really you're rating a movie on how much you're gonna remember it, I guess. Remembering and how much you enjoyed it. And it got me thinking of my past video that I did on the movie Troll. If you haven't seen it, I did a movie about Troll. I gave that movie a 7.5, which was pretty high. Honestly, I feel like I rated it that high just because the production value was surprisingly well for an exclusive Netflix movie. Going back to that, if I were to rate Troll again, I would give it a 6.5. It's gonna stay 7.5 now in that YouTube video, but if you're watching this one, I would probably give Troll a 6.5. So in that case, for Shepherds and Butchers, I would probably give it, out of rememberability and enjoyability, a 5.5. And that's not to say that it's bad. It was pretty good. I'd say like a good scale would be 5 to 6. A great scale would be 7 to 8. and amazing scale would be 9 to 10. I feel like that's pretty fair. So again, because I lowered the score, that does not mean that it's a bad movie. I'm just trying to make more room for like the really great ones that I like really recommend. Would I recommend watching Shepherds and Butchers? If you're really feeling in the mood for watching an historical movie, then yeah, go for it. If you're not really into that stuff, I wouldn't watch it. Will you enjoy this movie? Maybe. Will you find it interesting? Yeah. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me for now. If you guys really have any other streaming services that you want me to watch on if you don't have Netflix, let me know. I will do that. If you have any even movie recommendations that aren't super popular and you thought were just like, wow, this is pretty interesting. I've been going on my own dive too to find personal movies for myself because I haven't seen them, and you wanna let me know, I will gladly watch it and review it. So if you guys don't want to watch it, just watch me talk about it. There you go. But yeah, remember to like and subscribe the video. Helps me out, helps me want to make more movie videos and, you know, other content eventually. I'm gonna have to get a better computer before I do that though. Turn on that notification bell because I really don't be doing this much often. Yeah, that's all for now. I'll see you guys on the flip-flop, and remember, these streets are always open, baby. So come on down and be a hobo like the rest of us. Alright, peace, baby.